All right, great big claws up, bear down. Guys, game number one out of the books. Only team to be able, well, us in Houston, the only teams to be able to play the game so far to get a sneak peek of our teams. And these are some of my favorite videos I'm going to do this entire season. I'll do one of these after every single game that we play. These are my favorite because this is the nerdy, analytical, geeky stuff, and especially during the preseason, this is going to give us a taste of which players are really setting themselves aside, setting themselves apart, and which ones kind of aren't performing to where they should be. I get it. It's one game. I've been preaching that. I'm right on board with you guys. I understand it's one game. It's the Hall of Fame game. But really what we're looking for here is the positional battles. We're cutting this thing down in a month, in less than a month, in 25 days. We're cutting this thing down to 53 guys on the roster. Which guys will make the roster? So that's why I like to do these videos. This is the grades for the game. And most of this is going to come from PFF, but it also goes into my dive and analytical stuff that I like to do as well. So let's jump right into it. First of all, we've got the defensive studs. So these are the guys with the highest graded PFF grades. And what I'll do through the entire season, I'm setting the premise here. What I'll do is anybody with a 75 grade or higher is going to get listed on here. And on the other end of it, anybody with a lower than 50 grade, which is the guys that I say are cut candidates. If they've got a lower than 50 PFF grade, they should be cut. If they've got a higher than 75, they are in contention to be Pro Bowl caliber, to be all pro, to be top of the league. But remember, this is Hall of Fame game. This is backups facing backups. So really what we're gauging on this one is which guys are going to make the roster, which guys can be cut from the roster. The little star there right in the middle of your screen, those are the guys that started the game. So it kind of gives you an idea of who's kind of looking at the backup roles right now. Elijah Hicks is someone I said should be cut. And then beautiful thing is 2022 is when he came into the league. Beautiful thing is guys improve every year, and he had a lot of flashes of good last year, but the bad was just way outweighing, missed tackling especially. Well, he very much improved that on this game. He showed that he has the ability to be a good tackler. So 85.5 grade. Byron Cowart, 92.0 grade. He's someone that I said is really just contention. I didn't see him being possible to be a guy that really takes that fourth defensive tackle role and gets significant time. I might be wrong. He had a really, really good grade. 92.0 PFF grade. So that's really solid. Other guys that are right, and there's other guys that are right below here. I mean, really, a lot of guys played really well on the defense, especially in the second half, especially coming into the end of the first half. First series kind of had me nervous, had me really shaky about this team and the defense the backups. After the game, I feel so much better about this team. I really feel especially confident in Eric Washington as a defensive coordinator and as Shane Waldron as an offensive play caller. I really think we got the crux, the coaches of this team right. And Matt Eberflus is really just the PR guy. He obviously is creating a culture. He's setting the foundation. I'm not trying to overshadow what he's doing. I really think he's establishing something really good, though. And I really like that aspect, the coaching. I'm feeling good after one preseason game, after the Hall of Fame game, okay? So it is what it is. But Kaleem Fareed, Reddy Stewart, who we know has been getting a lot of snaps. I don't know why they don't have him as starter. I'm pretty sure he did start as the nickel there. They have him as right cornerback. Either way, they've got both Elijah Hicks and Tavarius Moore as free safety. Tavarius Moore, it's good to see him come out and play well. Deshaun Mallory played well. So a lot of guys, like I said, right under this played really well as well. So these are our defensive studs of the game above 75. 92 is absolutely freaking phenomenal. And here's some of the highlights of them. Byron Cowart, 24 snaps, 92 PFF grade. He had the sack. Elijah Hicks. It wasn't Austin Booker. I love what Austin Booker did on the play, but after I broke down the film, Byron Cowart slapped the ball out of the quarterback's hand before Austin Booker tackled the quarterback. So a lot of fans think Austin Booker got the sack, and I'm all in favor of everything Austin Booker did, and I'll get into that too, because he had an excellent game, a phenomenal game. Really, really looks like he could be solidified as defensive end 3 right off the start of the season, which is really cool. But obviously Jacob Martin didn't play for a reason because he is defensive end 3. But either way, looks good. I feel a lot better. They know what they're doing. Elijah Hicks, 23 snaps, 4 tackles, 79.2 NFL pass rating against. Looked really good, especially after I said I want him out the door. Now he's in contention. He probably could take one of those roster spots. He could be the fourth safety that we're talking about, but there's a lot of guys that are right there in contention for that. Khalil Kareem, 29 snaps, 20% pass rush win rate. That is significant to me. And he also played pretty well on run defense as well. Reddy Stewart, 10 snaps. I think he played limited snaps because he is valuable in that backup nickel role. Very good NFL pass rating against him as well, 81 PFF grade. Josh Blackwell, 23 snaps, 3 tackles, 39.6 NFL pass rating against. So all these guys played really well. Impressed. I'm really impressed with the adjustments that were made, especially young team coming into the first game. The first series, both offense, defense didn't look great on either side of the ball. Didn't look phenomenal. And as the game went on, they got stronger and stronger. And I like to see that. That's really optimistic for me. Here's the defensive duds, and I don't like to see that, and I don't like to point it out necessarily, but it is important. Amen Ogbonjemiga, 25.5 PFF grade. That's terrible. His coverage was bad. His tackling was bad. Nothing good about Amen on this first game. I don't know what else to say except it didn't look good. Hopefully, there's not playoff, but preseason game. There's 4 preseason games. These guys all have a chance to turn it around, but there's big names right here on this list. Zach Pickens, who I've said I think is a 3-year backup, and then he's off the team. I don't mean disrespect by that. I just don't see anything that leads to me thinking he's a defensive tackle that's going to stick on the Bears on an ascending team. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he does more than just a little bit of run defense, but so far didn't look so good. Micah Baskerville, Michael Dwumfor, who we just brought in, didn't look good. Jamari Croma and Dominique Robinson all had bad games. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Bad tackling, no pass rush. It just didn't look good for these guys. So we won't dig in on them too hard. We'll let it go from there. We'll say there's 4 preseason games. That's the point of that. So next up, we've got the offensive studs. Man, I think we could rant and rave all day about Brett Rippon and Colin Johnson. It was the Rippon to Colin Johnson game, but we're going off of PFF grades for this. Brett Rippon, Brennan Bates, and Steven Carlson all had above 75 PFF grades. I did mention it in my other video this morning from Free Talk Friday, as I called it. I don't think we'll do that all the time. Maybe after Thursday night games, I'll do that. It's going to stick to Free Talk Tuesday. But all of the tight ends in Shane Waldron's scheme look significantly different. I really believe Cole Kmet could be a 1,000-yard receiver this year with the schemes that Shane Waldron's gonna drop. That's one of the biggest things I took from this game. They all look significant. All the tight ends. Their route running was clean. Everything looked good. I'm really impressed. And that also shows the caliber that Ryan Poles brought in of our undrafted free agents, both Sweeney and Bates. Well, Sweeney was an undrafted free agent. He was signed from another team from last year as a free agent. But Brennan Bates was. Steven Carlson's been on our team for a while. It looks like he improved again this year. So it looked really good. As you guys know, Brett Rippon, 24 snaps, 11 of 15, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 148.9 passer rating. So phenomenal game. So those are the offensive studs. Then on the other side of it, the duds. And I did special team stud and dud on the same part at the bottom there. But offensive first. This isn't fun to look at, but I had hopes for Doug Kramer a couple years ago. My hopes died last year. And really, they're kind of dying even more right now. His pass blocking, his run block, nothing looked good when he was in the game. He was a liability. He wasn't good. Tyler Scott didn't look good on the opening kickoff. You can't have the little guys doing that, where I think we're learning it needs to be your big, drooling out of your mouth, salivating running backs that are ready to run people over like a train. That's why Velus Jones will be good. He is a bigger-bodied wide receiver that can run people over and has the speed. Maybe even a Khalil Herbert back there would be really good. We'll see what they experiment and play with, but that's part of why you hear rumors of that type of stuff. Roshan could even do it. I just don't think Roshan has as much burst as Khalil Herbert. So it'd be fun, actually, to see Khalil Herbert take the opening kickoffs back there with Velus Jones. That would be fun for me. Ian Wheeler, of course. I haven't forgot about him. He was just injured, but Ian Wheeler, big-bodied, quick running back, our undrafted free agent that I'm very high on. So Tyler Scott and Doug Kramer with low offensive grades. Didn't like to see that. On special teams, Adrian Colbert had an 80.9 PFF grade. Really, really solid. I'll get to him later. Quindale Johnson and Doug Coleman both didn't do themselves any favor, though, on special teams. When you're trying to fight to make this roster, just like Colin Johnson talked about how he didn't want Hightower to take, if you didn't see it in his press conference, he talked about how he didn't want Hightower to take him out on special teams when he was doing well as a receiver, because he wants to prove himself on every aspect. And he even said, I need to show every piece of value I have to this team, and he made the opening kickoff tackle. So those guys that are on the bottom rung, I've talked about how those final cornerbacks are going to be hard to make the team, and the safety 4, we're going to need a safety 4. But after that, I had Quindale Johnson with his experience on the team last year kind of ranked there as our safety 4. I don't know after yesterday, because that value on the special team, he looked lost. He didn't look like he was covering well. I wasn't impressed. And then I look at the grade, 49.1. I was like, oh, yeah, that kind of lined up. I didn't really notice Doug Coleman in the game, to be honest. I'd have to go back and look at it a little bit more. But to see a 38.3 PFF grade, that's not impressive. So those are your studs and duds of the game. And then, as you guys know, I've got all the different sections of the team, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give my player of the game from each one of these sections. So we've got the offensive playmakers, we've got the offensive line, defensive line, and special teams. I'll do one for each one of those. And then you've got your secondary. So first of all, special teams. I don't know, I have special teams there. My bad. This is for offensive playmakers, obviously. I'm not going to go change it. It takes too long, and I'm trying to get the second video of the day out. And honestly, I'm tired. So player of the game for the offensive playmakers, there's 2 of them. There could have been several more with all those tight ends. Brett Rippon, 24 snaps, 11 of 15, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I already mentioned him. The other one, Colin Johnson, 3 receptions, 56 yards, 2 touchdowns, and his route running looked really, really clean and good. 6'6". If they can get him to come around, he could easily be wide receiver 4 over Tyler Scott. I know we enjoy seeing what we've seen from Tyler Scott, not dropping the ball, connecting with Caleb Williams. It's fun to see. But if Colin Johnson, Colin Johnson at 6'6" with that high point ability, and his throughout his entire career in the NFL has a high contested catch rate, a low drop rate. He did have one drop in this game, but if you go watch that drop, it was a pretty significant ball. That was anybody could have dropped that one. So it's not like it was a terrible drop. It's one of those where you're being contested and it didn't work out. But very, very solid game for Colin Johnson and Brett Rippon. That's what this game is being called. On to the, man, I have special teams for all of them. I just didn't change the title of it. I apologize, guys, but you guys will know who I'm talking about. This is the offensive line. Besides my blunder, look at the focus of this one. 27 snaps for Bill Murray. You hear about him in camp and how he's doing well. 0 pressures allowed and 100% pass block efficiency grade. That's what we need on this offensive line. Somebody that can handle the pass rush. He did extremely well. Every single snap he was in protected the quarterback. That's exactly what we need. That's why I made him my offensive lineman player of the game. On the defensive line, Austin Booker and Byron Cowart. I have both of them. Austin Booker, 24 snaps. This is something that hasn't been pointed out by anybody else I've seen yet. A lot of people are crediting him with the snap. I understand it. You have to break down the tape really slow to see that he didn't have the snap. The sack. The sack came from Byron Cowart, who I'm also making the co-player of the game on the defensive line. 23.1 pass rush win rate from Austin Booker. We aren't seeing that crap. When you have people wanting Yannick Ngakoue back with a 4.8 pass rush win rate, and you've got Dominic Robinson, who was defensive end 4/5 last year with a 2% pass rush win rate, 23.1 pass rush win rate. 23.1. Let that sink in. Okay, Hall of Fame game, backups, I get it. He's also a rookie. You never see them on the first game just dominate right off the bat. This is stuff Max Crosby would do. I'm going to say it over and over again. Oh, don't do the hype so high. That's kind of unrealistic. You can't do that. He's got the body. He's got the build. He's got the mentality. And then he just went out and won one out of every 4 pass rush wins that he had. His run contain was a little bit off. He had a couple that were right in the beginning of the game that didn't look as hot, like he was a little bit lost. He's a rookie. First game, getting his NFL legs, getting used to the speed. I think he kicked butt. Absolutely. Byron Cowart, also 24 snaps. If he can fill in, he might overtake Zach Pickens, guys. Right now, I'm telling you, Zach Pickens is not looking impressive. Byron Cowart could be the third rotational guy to come in. He could be the guy to replace Zach Pickens this year. 1 sack, 2 tackles, 1 assist tackle, 14.3 pass rush win rate as well. Very, very solid. Now, the one that will actually match up to... actually, it won't. Let's get to that one first, actually. Here's special teams. Man, I made so many mistakes. All right, Adrian Colbert, Leon Jones. Adrian Colbert, Leon Jones. Sorry, guys. So this is Leon Jones, undrafted free agent who we picked up. Love, love, love the addition. 22 snaps, 2 pass breakups, 1 dropped interception. He almost had the pick. 1 tackle, 57.6 NFL pass rating against. This is my secondary player of the game. And then last but not least, the actual special teams player of the game, Adrian Colbert, who's listed as Leon Jones here. Guys, I apologize. I was trying to get this together quick because I spent so much time on it, and I apologize. The future ones will be cleaned up a little bit better, but the stats, the research is all accurate on there. Adrian Colbert, 14 snaps on special teams, 1 tackle, and an 80.9 PFF grade on special teams. So he did very, very well. All right, that is my player grades. That is my analysis of the game. I'm very, very excited about everything that happened on the game because there were some players that really stood out, especially Byron Cowart, Austin Booker, Reddy Stewart, Travarius Moore. But then there are some duds that I'm worried about. This screen especially. Zach Pickens, Jamry Chroma, Dominique Robinson. All guys, when you're trying to fix that defensive line that you have to be worried about. But then you've got Byron Cowart that makes you feel a little bit better. There's 4 preseason games. Okay, so I'm trying not to overreact too much, trying to give the appropriate amount of excitement and hype. We're 1-0. It doesn't matter. But there are some things to work on, but there are some huge, huge positive wins from this game. Brett Rippon, Colin Johnson, all the tight ends, all 3 of them looked phenomenal. Sweeney, Bates, Carlson, all of them looked really good. Some of the offensive linemen, Matt Pryor, Bill Murray especially, Ja'Tyre Carter looked good. A lot of them looked really good on the offensive line after they got that first series out of the way. Doug Kramer didn't look good. Tyler Scott didn't look great on any aspect of the game. Punt returning especially, or kick returning especially, and his routes. He just, I don't know what the. It's one game. It's one game. It's one game. It's one game. It's one preseason Hall of Fame game. That's it. Okay. So there's a lot of good to take from it. There's going to be a lot more battles. Just like Matt Eberflus said, it's going to be hard to make this team. It's going to be tough to make this team. And there's a lot of guys fighting at the bottom of this roster that prove that's real. Brett Rippon, Colin Johnson, Reddy Stewart, Elijah Hicks, Adrian Colbert. A lot of these guys looked really good. So I'm very stoked. A week from tomorrow will be the second game. We got Hard Knocks coming out next week. We'll do Free Talk Tuesday. I'll do some stuff in between. But this is one of my favorite videos to make, is the grades of the game. Let me know your thoughts after you've seen some of these grades, after you've seen how some of the guys did. Does that change your perception on what you thought of some of these players? It does mine. It always does. That's why I'm an analyst. That's why I'm a stats type of guy, is because I really drive a lot off of this stuff. Combine that with what you saw on the field, and it really gives a complete picture. So there's a lot of tough decisions coming. 25 days from now, we're making cut downs to 53. So with that, claws up, bear down, and